I said, it's like a bread dough, Beth. It's not. It's way, way softer than a bread dough. It's fine. Hi, welcome to Baking with Beth. This month we're celebrating Leonardo da Vinci's birthday by baking a Schiacciata alla Fiorentina. So for this recipe, we're going to start with yeast, flour, and warm water, and then we're going to proof the yeast. Then we're going to add some orange, vanilla, sugar, and eggs, and then top it with some powdered sugar and cocoa powder. So we're going to dissolve our yeast in our warm water. And then we're going to add 100 grams of flour. And this is just to proof the yeast to make sure that it's still good. So Leonardo da Vinci, he was one of the most important artists of the Renaissance. He was born on April 15th, 1452 in Florence, Italy, which is why we're making an Italian dessert. I'm going to knead this together. So he was well known as an artist, as well as an architect, engineer, and scientist. And he's very, very famous, very influential for not only his art, but his study in anatomy and the sciences. So he started painting and drawing when he was 15 years old. He was an apprentice to Andrea di Verrocchio, who was actually the sculptor for the Medici family, which is a big deal. So we're going to knead this dough, and then we're going to let it rise for 2 hours in a warm place, and then we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. While the dough is rising, we're going to emulsify some olive oil and some butter together. So I have 45 grams of butter, and we're going to add 45 grams of olive oil. So you don't usually use olive oil when baking, but this is an Italian dessert, so it does call for olive oil. So it's supposed to have an olivey taste. This is what our mixed together olive oil and butter looks like. And then we're going to add the zest of 2 oranges. So what we're making is a type of, it's like a bread mixed with a cake. And the Italian name is, as I said, Schiacciata alla Fiorentina. And it's flavored with oranges and vanilla. So Leonardo da Vinci, as you probably know, he's most famous for paintings like the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. He also is famous for being really anatomically correct with his drawings and paintings. Not everyone in the Renaissance really knew what bodies looked like, but he, because of his dissection of corpses, was able to learn a lot about the human body. He also pioneered, or he worked on a technique called sfumato, S-F-M-U-A-T-O, which is basically the technique of blending tones and colors until they into shades, so they gradually blend into each other, and it creates like a soft and hazy form. And you can really see that in like the Mona Lisa, especially, like her face looks really soft. Okay, so after we've added our orange zest, we're gonna add some vanilla. The recipe calls for vanilla beans, but we're just gonna use vanilla extract. We're gonna save the vanilla beans for another artist. Sorry, Leo. And we're gonna mix those together. So now we're going to add the juice from those oranges, as well as some eggs and some sugar. And then once our dough is risen, we'll add the dough. So Da Vinci is known really well for his paintings, but he's also known for his notebooks and the sketches he made there. So you might be familiar with like like the flying machine that he drew up an invention, like an idea for a flying machine, after studying birds. He also made the Vitruvian Man, which is the guy with like the arms and the legs. And that was a study in anatomy and also like human proportions. So his notebooks were full of ideas for inventions, anatomical studies, and then like sketches for landscapes and paintings. And so we are going to actually be making our dessert look like one of his sketches, which is called la Schiacciata, or the head of a woman. And it's an unfinished sketch of a woman's head. So we have all the orange juice. We're going to add 1 egg, and then 3 egg yolks. We're also going to add 100 grams of sugar and mix it all together. And it smells quite nice. It's like olive oil and orange and vanilla. And we're going to get our risen dough and knead it all together to make a sort of batter. So we're adding our dough, and then we have 300 more grams of flour that we're going to add. And then we're going to knead it all together. So the Schiacciata alla Fiorentina is a really old Italian kind of bread cake, and it's from Florence. It was originally like a post-Lent or a pre-Lent sort of thing. So before Lent, you have your pig that's just been slaughtered, and you need to use up all of the fatty food in your house before Lent starts. So this is basically a dough enriched with lard. We are not using lard, we're using olive oil and butter. It originally also had brewer's yeast, which we also don't have. We only have active dry yeast because we're in the US and we don't believe in brewer's yeast. And then originally it was also flavored with the orange, or in Italy they probably have had bergamots instead of oranges way back when. And then vanilla beans, which we're using vanilla extract. Now we're going to put it into our pan. Traditionally this is supposed to be in a rectangular pan, but I have a square pan, so that's okay. So we're going to put it in our pan, and then it's going to rise for about 3 more hours, and then we're going to bake it, and then it'll come out looking like a nice aromatic cake. Okay, so this is our finished Schiacciata. And we're going to, so traditionally it would be dusted with powdered sugar and then with some cocoa powder in the shape of the fleur-de-lis, which is on the flag of Florence. But we have a stencil of the head of a woman by Da Vinci, and we're going to put that on here. So, fun fact, not everyone actually agrees that Da Vinci even made this drawing. There is some controversy. A lot of scholars say that he made it, but some people say that one of his students made it. But it does have the sfumato on her face. It's very smooth and it looks really soft, which contrasts with her hair, which is really like unkempt and tousled, which is why it's called la Schiacciata, because that word means like unkempt or tousled. So we're gonna do powdered sugar first. Also, fun fact, I don't know if I don't know how old this recipe is. It's old enough that it's hard to find a date, but I do know that chocolate and vanilla didn't come to Europe from the New World until the 1520s, which was right after Leonardo da Vinci died. So he might have been able to have something similar to this with the orange or bergamots, but not with vanilla or cocoa, because those are from the New World. So now we have our stencil. I'm going to make sure it's facing away. And then I haven't tried this yet, so we're going to see if it works. All right. So now, very carefully, I'm going to lift off our stencil. And yeah, there's kind of a face on there. Her hair didn't totally get completely in there, but you can kind of see a little face. It's very little, but yeah, it's a good experiment. All right, so we're gonna taste this now. Crumbling a little bit. That's okay. So the cake itself is not that sweet. I think most European desserts, especially older ones, are not too terribly sweet, but the powdered sugar adds a very nice level of sweetness, and it's kind of got that orange flavor, so I think this would be quite good with tea or something. So there is our Schiacciata alla Fiorentina for Leonardo da Vinci's birthday, and thank you for joining us.